Red Star Radio. Voice of the Revolution.
Contrary to popular belief, and despite constant conflation from right-wing pundits and Americans in general, liberals are not socialists. While many socialists do hold socially progressive values, liberalism is a pro-capitalist ideology that never goes beyond reforming capitalism in order to make it work better. Socialism, on the other hand, seeks to completely abolish capitalism. This makes the two completely incompatible. In fact, if you look at some supposedly leftist ideas favored by liberals, you can see how they're actually designed to defend capitalism. So here's the top 5 ways that they do that.
Number 2 will shock you.
Number 1, ethical consumption. This is the idea that we should punish companies for wrongdoing by simply boycotting them and buying things that are more ethically sourced instead.
We purchase more fair trade coffee than any company in the world, ensuring that the farmers who grow the beans receive a fair price for their hard work.
This might sound like a great idea at first, but the more you think about it, the more it raises uncomfortable questions for those who defend capitalism. How do you consume ethically? Do you have to check where the product was made, how much the workers got paid, what the work conditions were, what the environmental impact of the product is? How do you even know whether something really is fair trade or organic? And most importantly, how can you possibly check all these things every time you buy something?
That's impossible!
The more you think about it, the more you realize what a farce the idea of ethical consumption really is. It's a pro-capitalist solution because it relies on the idea that problems that come up under capitalism can be solved by individual consumer choices. It leaves the capitalist free market and the consumer's role in it intact. This is exactly why things like boycotts are actually an integral part of right-wing libertarianism or anarcho-capitalism. Number 2, hyphenating capitalism. One surefire way to spot a liberal is when they turn capitalism into a compound word when they're describing problems that exist under free market economies. Crony capitalism, laissez-faire capitalism, unregulated capitalism, unfettered capitalism. The whole point of adding in the descriptor word is to give the capitalist system a way out. Oh no, it's not endemic to the system at all. No, you just need to get rid of the crony part or make sure it's regulated, then everything will be fine. Number 3, strategic voting. This one's a little more nuanced in that lots of different people do this for lots of different reasons, some of which might be totally legitimate and justified from a tactical point of view. American leftists voting for the Democratic Party, though, is not an example. Democrats have always proved themselves to be just as willing to give in to war hawks in Wall Street as the Republicans.
I have 2 words for you: predator drones.
I pledge to end welfare as we know it.
The only real difference is that the Democrats put on a progressive veneer to fool people into thinking that they'll have an easier time fighting for reforms under their rule than under the Republicans. But the history of the past half-century has shown that rather than boldly pushing for change as some liberals imagine that they do, their usual strategy is to lag safely behind the masses when they can.
Marriage is the union between a man and a woman.
And when they can't, they take over movements for change and dead-end them by granting a few token concessions. This is why they call the Democratic Party the graveyard of social movements. The closest the party has come to making a progressive break from the status quo was allowing a social democrat to run in the presidential primaries, and even then they just barely tolerated it, if not actively sabotaged it. And we all saw how it ended too.
I intend to do everything I can to make certain she will be the next president of the United States.
Boo!
Number 4, nonviolence. Nothing says that capitalism is the end of history like pretending there's just no political differences worth physically fighting over once you live under a liberal democracy. This point of view ignores the fact that the state exists to protect the ruling class, who will always defend their class interests by force whenever necessary. This doesn't mean that any and all violence against the state or ruling class is justified either. A wise strategy is one that avoids dogmatic pacifism and lone wolf adventurism. Liberals fail to understand this when they fetishize pacifism. This is why they idolize heroes like Gandhi and King while downplaying the contributions of Bhagat Singh and Malcolm X. Number 5. Redefining socialism. Liberals are always redefining socialism to mean anything done by the state or public sector.
When you go to your public library and you call your fire department or the police department, what do you think you're calling? These are socialist institutions.
Socialism is what we have today in this country. So what socialism means is the government does some things and the private industry does something. Western Europe is all socialist. We're in essence socialist.
While some might see this as rehabilitating the word, it's hard to see how changing the meaning can rehabilitate the actual concept. At the end of the day, saying that socialism equals anything the government does that is good is hardly any better than the conservatives saying that socialism is anything the government does that is bad. Either way, the actual concept of collective ownership and control of the means of production is erased from the public's mind and replaced with something that we already have, social democracy.
And Hank says, you want to see how socialism starts? Start your house on fire.